Celtic have continued their unbeaten start to the Scottish Premiership campaign after we beat Livingston away from home with 10 men. In today's video we will of course go over the big talking points of the game, whilst also discussing what a Celtic expert has said with regards to Jota potentially returning. But first, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for daily Celtic content. Celtic were victorious in West Lothian on Saturday afternoon. Goals from Maida, Matt O'Reilly and Hatate secured the 3 points for the boys, who had to dig in throughout. A Joe Hart sending off didn't aid the visitors, but in the end it didn't affect them. Here are 3 things we learned from the match. Every Celt gives their all. Joe Hart was sent off after 28 minutes in yesterday afternoon's game. Celtic went down to 10 men but remained dominant. Every player dug in and put in terrific performances. Callum McGregor particularly stood out in the midfield, meanwhile Maida never stopped. Tony Macaroni no longer an issue. Previously, heading to the Tony Macaroni Arena was an issue for the Scottish champions. It is fair to say that the boys had a hoodoo, although now it has been completely banished. In their past 3 visits to West Lothian, Celtic have tasted victory. An aggregate score of 9-1 makes for impressive reading and only backs up the point that heading to Livy isn't the same problem it used to be. Matt O'Reilly continues to hit new heights. This season under Brendan Rodgers, Matt O'Reilly has exceeded expectations. The Danish international has added goals to his game, which has been hugely useful for Celtic. O'Reilly added a 4th to his league tally for this campaign yesterday, and in midfield was here, there and everywhere. The 22-year-old now averages a goal or assist every 86 minutes in the Premiership in 2023-24. Coming to Livy off the back of a European away tie was never going to be easy for the treble-winning champions. Celtic buckled down after being reduced to 10 though, and extended their lead to 7 points over their Glasgow rivals. A reporter from the BBC questioned the Hoops gaffer on recent results at tough away venues, saying they were respectable and that the champions are gaining ahead of steam. Rodgers replied somewhat sarcastically and said, supposedly struggling. Rodgers then chuckled, but listen, it's consistency, isn't it? We're still a long way to go from where I'd like us to be. Continually, the 50-year-old has been public in his opinion that his team are not the finished article yet, and that he wants them to do better. That does not take away from the current form though, and the fact that after going to Bataudry, Ibrox and Livingston, the Celts sit pretty at the top of the table. Former Celtic striker turned pundit Frank McAvenny has claimed he's been told Jota will make a sensational return to Celtic in January, with his move to Saudi Arabia turning sour. Talking about the job Maida is doing on the wing, McAvenny let it be known he believes a return is on the cards. Maida is doing a wonderful job, he told Football Insider. He is just up and down, defends, and does not matter whether it is on the right or left side. But someone told me Jota is coming back in January. It will be nice to have him back because you know what you are getting with him, but I do think Brendan will need to sit down with the powers that be and tell him that he needs to sign some players. Whilst Frank's comments are obviously noteworthy, we all would like to caveat his information by specifying he is paid by Football Insider to talk about football, specifically Celtic and West Ham. Also, from my own experience, there's nobody at Celtic who would be cavalier or willing to share that kind of information so far out. Celtic's communication team is very careful about what they put out and when. The idea of Frank is getting this information from a person who would truly know is questionable. Jota has been frozen out in Saudi Arabia and is not part of their plans. Whilst we would personally love to have him back, we'll not count our chickens just yet. The winger won't be short of options. Celtic midfielder Matt O'Reilly was central to the Hoops' 3-0 victory over Livingston on Saturday afternoon. The Danish international put in an outstanding shift, scoring and contributing massively to his side's overall performance. After the match, O'Reilly spoke to Celtic's official club media. He talked about how he is continually improving and making progress each week. The 22-year-old has revealed that he tends to try and blank out what has happened previously and have a fresh mindset going into each match. He said, it's just about resetting each game and forgetting about each game. Not forgetting, but reminding yourself that there's only the next game and the next training session. So as long as you can keep on that frame of mind, it's quite easy to come back to centre and reset. Clearly O'Reilly's logic is working down a T. The treble winner is in the form of his life right now. This season so far he is averaging a goal or assist every 86 minutes. He wants to get better, though on this O'Reilly said, if I'm not improving each season then I probably have to look at what I'm doing off the pitch as well. I dedicate my whole life to trying to improve myself as a football player and a person, so I'm glad that it is showing, but at the same time there's still a long way to go. Under Brendan Rodgers, O'Reilly has hit new heights. Celtic's number 33 has taken his game to a new level under the Irishman, whose style of management is clearly working well with the midfielder. It may be early doors, but it won't be out there to suggest that O'Reilly could end up the Hoops' player of the season if he keeps going the way he is. Alistair Johnson says the reaction to Joe Hart's dressing room apology at Livingston was "shut up Joe," dismissing his attempt to take the blame for his Celtic red card on Saturday. Hart was sent off in the first half with the boys 1-0 up. A strong team performance pushed that setback aside, with the match eventually ending up 3-0 to the Scottish champions. Undoubtedly the goalkeeper made a mistake not connecting with the ball and wiping out Mohamed Sangaré, but Johnson said his attempts at saying sorry fell on deaf ears, with the team emphatising he wasn't solely to blame. The Canadian stated post-match, "Joe is a top-class pro. I think we all know that anyway. I don't think he had anything to apologise for. That Astro just kicked the ball back. We discussed that as defenders. We let a ball drop over our heads. We've just got to be wary that it's not necessarily going to skip forwards. It's going to potentially check back." So we saw that as a back line and realised we actually gave their fullback too much time to put a ball behind us and put Joe in a position where something like that could happen. Joe's a top pro and the first one to put his hands up, and everyone was like, "Shut up Joe," because he's a great guy and he'll take it on the chin and go from there. There's a unity among this Celtic group, no doubt. Obviously Hart's error has been easier to take considering it didn't cost the boys 3 points, but I'd imagine the goalkeeper would have received similar warmth from his teammates regardless of the results. The sending off was a culmination of poor defending across the board. It wasn't the first time that Hart was forced to fill space which should have been covered by the rest of his defensive line. He will now serve a suspension, but it won't be long until the Englishman is back in the team. No one else at the club is ready to replace him. Celtic manager Brendan Rodgers helped protect one celebrating young fan from stewards after the win over Livingston on Saturday, returning him to the buoyant boys' support. Despite going down to 10 men in the first half, Celtic went on to win 3-0 in West Lothian. As one young fan entered the pitch following the full-time whistle, they were restricted by stewards. But Rodgers was having none of it and ensured that the youngster made it back to the stands without being further manhandled. Here's the video of the occasion. The clip is quickly going viral around the Celtic support. Both those at the game and online seem to appreciate Rodgers' actions. Yesterday was a great afternoon for the manager after a European disappointment earlier this week. Not only did he see his team produce an accomplished performance in difficult circumstances, it seems he's taken a step forward with his fan relationship too. Stewards have a job to do, but Rodgers clearly felt they overstepped the mark with the youngster, and he was spot on in using his influence to step in. Celtic fans, what did you make of our win yesterday, and do you see a world in where Jota can return in January? Let me know down in the comment section below. That brings us to the end of today's video. Make sure you drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more Celtic content. Remember, we have released our brand new Celtic t-shirts. We have a Brendan Rodgers Pope t-shirt and our Celtic Ultra t-shirts too. You can find them at celticapparel.com or just go down to the link in the description. Thank you, take care, bye bye.